Lawrence stepped out of a jump portal to stand in the middle of Adakala, the capital city of Anu, with the staff of the ancients in one hand, Anubis's kopeshes in his other hand, and the body of Anubis over his shoulder. Instantly he swayed a bit, taking in the air of Anu for the first time. It was much purer than anything he was used to. The plant life, which was heavily integrated into the city infrastructure, seemed sweeter and brighter than the vegetation on Earth. He also felt a bit heavier, likely due to increased gravity, he thought. Looking around, he realized that a part of Earth's history was not its own. All around him were structures similar to those of ancient Egypt, as well as the Mayan and Incan empires. The clear difference he saw between those buildings from Earth's history and the ones before him were that Anu's pyramids and temples were constructed from either gold, silver, or clear diamond-like crystal materials. The rays from Anu's blue star reflecting off the buildings made it hard for him to see at times. Anunnaki citizens going about their business stopped in their tracks at the sight of him, a visitor from another planet, adorned in armor from their world, carrying one of their own over his shoulder. The first thing he noticed was how tall everyone was. Full-grown males ranged from 6'4" to almost 7 feet, while the females stood between 6'2" and 6'8". Despite their height, they had standard human proportions, and not the skinny, lanky tallness the way aliens were often depicted in Earth movies and TV. Their skins had a weird shiny smoothness to them, and varied in shades, like pale white, light gray, dark gray, fox reddish brown, caramel bronze, and cocoa brown. Men and women both wore onyx black or platinum blonde hair, either bone straight, stopping at their shoulders, fully braided, or braided with one side shaved off, or big bald. A few, mostly the younger generation, added streaks of colors to their hair. What crept him out a bit were their eyes. They were one size larger than normal human eyes, with a bit of a slant. What made him even more uncomfortable was the fashion of the planet. The styles they wore were straight out of the history books and movies he watched about ancient civilizations from his planet, except the materials were of higher quality, sheer, and revealing. The Anunnaki were obviously not a race that cared about modesty. They all stared at him curious rather than afraid. Some smaller children attempted to get away from their parents to get a closer look at the strange foreigner from the other side of the universe. "Definitely not in Kansas anymore," was all he could say. They would be his last words, as portals opened up all around him. Stepping out of them were heavily armed Anunnaki warriors, both men and women, ready to greet him in a hostile manner. Leading the charge was Bastet, the Eye of Osiris herself. Already in sentinel mode, her familiar that took the shape of a cybernetic feline converted into its combat mode, an awakening-powered version of the Cat of Nine Tails. Her helm had a traditional design similar to Lawrence's, covering the upper part of her face, but like Anubis's helm, Minos covered her entire head underneath. Despite the gap between them, Lawrence could feel the heat and power coming from each lash of her weapon. He, however, stood his ground. His battle with Anubis had exorcised whatever fear had been left lingering within. "You shall rue the day you stepped foot on this planet, half-breed," she pointed with fangs reared. Without a word, he dropped Anubis's kopeshes, which transformed into their scorpion forms in mid-fall to land on their feet. He then laid down the body of Anubis, whose expanding chest revealed that he was very much alive. Before Lawrence had been able to land his fatal blow, the mighty Anunnaki warrior had succumbed to the effects of the Samba nectar. "Do you still think this was a logical course of action?" his familiar asked him. "Probably not," Lawrence shook his head. But it's, as I said, I'm done running.
Available at EVOuniverse.com, Amazon.com, Audible.com, and Barnes & Noble, Google Play, and